Party had and the Liberal Democrats have had is that, unlike the other parties, we don't have any national newspapers which automatically say what we want them to say. For example, the Daily Mirror will always say what the Labour Party wants it to say. And, for example, the Daily Mail and the Express will always say what the Conservative Party want them to say. And so our problem has been that when people go out in the morning and buy their papers, there isn't a paper that you can know is going to say what we'd like them to say. So we have always realised that if we want to get our messages out, we have to do it ourselves. And it's unfair, but because we have a free press, we can't make things change nationally. Obviously, we try to influence papers. For the last election, the Observer and the Guardian, the Independent were much more sympathetic, but to be absolutely honest, they're not read by nearly as many people as the Sun and the Mirror and the Daily Mail. So even though they may be supported, they're a much smaller group of people. So that's the first thing. That's why leaflets are so important. And why it's really important that two things happen with leaflets. That they go out from local people who live locally, because you can spot better than anybody sitting in the office the problems with delivery. If, for example, a block is never accessible, if the entry phones never work, or if the entry phones never work so that they're always open, then you can tell us that. We'd like to know that. I was in a block, in fact, on Damon's estate the other day, where the lights were on in the middle of a day like this. So I reported to the council and said, what a waste of money, have the lights on in the middle of the day on a day like this. And those sorts of things. But also other things. Are they well maintained? Are they cleaned properly if they're a council or housing association? Is the play area in good nick? Or has the fence been broken for a year? I was on the Manor estate, the Rennie estate the other day, and some youngsters called me over, and they've asked for my help to try to get the play area redone, because it's clearly been damaged by people ripping up the tarmac, so you can't actually play football on it without risking falling over and the ball going all over the place. There's no lighting in the evening, so you can't play in the evenings. There's only one post at little things like that, but you don't notice them from sitting at home or sitting in the office. So Michael Howard, if you remember, when he was the Home Secretary, had this idea that we should walk with a purpose. Do you remember? He wanted us to sort of be mini police officers and sort of walk with our eyes watching what was going on to report stuff. We're very grateful you deliver, but we like you to deliver with the purpose too. And we like you to feedback anything that, just a phone message, or a message when you're next to the office, or an email or something, just saying, and to your local council or to a news, if it's a council matter, or to me nationally. Just two other things, if I may. Anoop hinted at the fact that we want you to help us make policy locally. So there's at the next council elections, which are in 2014, basically what we're saying we want to change in Southwark are the things you've asked us to do. But we have a much more urgent need for you to help. Hiya, please come in. You've got the disadvantage of arriving in the middle of a speech, I'm sorry about this. If you get inside and they're given a drink, then you won't escape so quickly. The more urgent thing is that we want your ideas on national stuff. And that doesn't have to wait till 2014 for us to implement, because we're in government now. So, for example, every month we have meetings in the office for people to come and share their ideas. We're just working out another meeting this month about health service issues, because obviously everybody sometimes has in contact with the health service, and we were just talking about a bad experience in St Thomas's just last month, which one of the people had family had had. So we hope you'll come to that. And please don't ever feel backward about feeding ideas. If you really have a suggestion about how we can improve the National Health Service, tell us. What I'm trying to do, and I think we'll get it sorted by the end of the year, is have a 24-hour GP service at Guy's Hospital. So that whatever day of the week, you'll be able to go to see one of a team of GPs.
But that's just a minor, sorry.
No, it's changed.
It has changed recently.
No, currently it's minor interest.
Yes.
But it's only limited out.
Because we went there, to start with, and
There was an A&E, and the compromise when A&E went to Thomas's was that we had minor injuries. I think people need much more, because minor injuries doesn't have many visitors a day, is a 24-hour GP service. In the old days, GPs used to visit at home. Your own GP would visit. That doesn't happen anymore. There's a call service. But actually, people often, they're nervous about calling out a GP. They'd rather just take their baby or go with grandma or whoever it is to see somebody who's local. So I hope we can get that to you. That's an example. So please feed in ideas, particularly about the NHS, but also about anything else. And lastly, for example, today's a very good example. There was an announcement, wasn't an announcement, it was a news story that the housing minister wants to change the rules, and Mark and I were just talking about it, as to whether people can keep council properties if they earn more than £100,000. Now, we can have a debate about that. Not many people in Bermondsey have council flats and earn more than £100,000, but there are one or two who may do. And the question is, what should we do about that? I've always taken the view, actually, that rather than kick people out, you just make them pay the full whack for the flat. Because actually you may earn a lot one year, but the next year you may be out of work.
Because usually council tenants don't earn any money or just a little bit.
So, I mean, it seems to be a much better system. So we may want to put in an alternative to that. Last request, really. We've just been down in Peckham, some of us this afternoon, to select our candidate or approve our candidate, support our candidate for the by-election in Peckham. You remember the Mayor of Solihull very sadly died of cancer in office a few weeks ago, which was very sad, in his 50s. Well, there's an election, obviously, to fill the place of the Mayor on the council. And we've just selected this woman, Jennifer Blake, as our candidate. And Jennifer's a fantastic candidate. She's a woman born and brought up in Peckham. She's had a hard time. She went off the rails earlier in her life. She got her life together. She's got her family together. She's now putting back in the community. More than ever she took out. She's working with youngsters and knife crime and drugs and so on. So if ever there was anybody who's the sort of person who should be running the council, Jennifer is that sort of person. She also has two other advantages. She's female, and we still need more female politicians, because generally women have more life experiences and manage more things at the same time than men. And she's from the black community, and we still don't have as many black and minority, Latin American, Irish, Eastern European, African councillors as we ought to, given the community. So she's a fantastic candidate. All of you either might be candidates one day, or might know people who might be. I'm serious about this. It would be fantastic if there are people in your block, or friends of yours, or neighbours of yours, who you think would be a really good councillor, committed to the community, know the community, work hard, are sympathetic to people, then please tell us. Because every time we have council elections, we need new councillors. Some people like Linda go on forever, but there are other people who fall by the wayside.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
This is what I always say. No, but seriously, some people have done
16 more years.
Some people have done fantastic long service, like Linda knows the part of that back of her hand. But other people, do 4 years, then they have to move, or their work changes, or they're not well enough. So that's the last request. So please, we really are keen to have people. And it's not, you don't have to sign on for life, like I've ended up doing. You can do it just for 4 years, and if after 4 years you don't want to carry on, that's fine. Because people's lives change and their family circumstances change. So those are my requests. Remember, when you deliver leaflets, we're doing it because we don't own national newspapers or national TV channels, and therefore we have to get our message out. If we don't, Mr. Murdoch will not do it for us on Sky News. We have to get it out. Little Brad, if you sometimes worry why you see me on television more than you wish, because I'm trying to make up for the fact that we don't own the channels, we don't own the newspapers, and compensate that. Secondly, please report back any things you spot that are issues on an estate out on the street. Please feed back, because the more information we have, the better.